Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Wolf. I hope you're doing well. Pardon me, I have a little bit of a cold I'm working on, so just ignore all my coughing and sneezing if it happens. And please pardon me. Okay, today I wanted to talk about identifying ethos, pathos, and logos in your persuasive essays. And we started talking about it in the Crucible unit, and now we're going to start talking about it in rationalism because you will see it all the time now. And I first of all want to talk about each definition and then separately, and then how you achieve it with your audience. And then I'm going to show you some helpful links that I found below this. So here we go. So ethos is there are three ways that you appeal to your audience as a speaker or a writer: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is the credibility that an author or speaker establishes within the eyes of their audience. So in other words, when you're reading a paper, someone's paper, or story, or you're watching someone speak, whether it's on television or you're seeing someone's at a public engagement, what makes you like them as a writer, as a speaker? And what, not just that, but what makes them trustworthy in your eyes? What makes them a credible source? So how do we achieve this? Well, trustworthiness. How do we establish that? We are experts in our field. We have done something, whether it's academically or just through experience. We have done something for so long that we just know it well and can teach others. That helps an audience identify with you. If you are from a specific region or area, country, whatever, or you have a specific interest and you have experienced that interest in a long time, that helps an audience identify with you. And also the tone. In your papers, for our class, I wrote formal tone because you have to use a formal tone in your papers in order for you to engage your audience, meaning me, your grader. But think about how speakers do that. They relate to the people that they're with. So if they're in New York City, they're probably going to establish a different tone depending on the type of engagement with their audience versus if they're somewhere more laid back, like Hawaii. So it just depends on where you are and to whom you're trying to send your message and persuade them of your message. Okay, so pathos. Pathos is the emotional appeal a speaker makes to his or her audience. And that means you engage them emotionally. So whether you're a speaker or a writer. So how do we do this? Again, specific word choice. Another word for that is diction. Don't use a bunch of flowery adjectives, though. Use vivid verbs that are descriptive and really can set the scene without getting all flowery, because then you'll lose your audience too. This is supposed to be a formal paper. Sometimes authors tell a story and they tell a little anecdote, oh, this reminds me of a time when la la la. And they tell a story that's almost like a mini metaphor that represents the point they're trying to make. So you see that sometimes presidents do that in their presidential address. They'll tell a little anecdote, a little story to prove their point to be true, whether you believe it or not. Speakers do that all the time. Also, you'll see that in papers. You'll find whether it's an anecdote as a primary source, we're not using that in these papers, or a previous experience that someone has had that's documented, that's a fact. Okay, and then providing more specific examples too that also are emotional, that tug at your heartstrings. All right, the third type of appeal is persuasive appeal is logos, and that sounds like what it is. It's from the Greek word logos. It means logic, and logos is the logical appeal an author or speaker makes to his or her audience. So how do you achieve this as a persuasive essay writer? You use concrete, real, vivid, logical examples of what has or has not been effective, and you provide specific facts. You cite credible sources who are experts in their field of study, both in experience and education, or one or the other, depending on your audience. You structure your paper logically, which means, again, for those of you who haven't been doing this, and I can kind of tell when you're having problems writing, always do an outline for your essay. You may get to the point when you're in college or after that where you can write a paper and you don't need an outline. You can actually see it in your heads. I think in 11th and 12th grade, though, we're not at that point. So for now, for our purposes in this course, I want you to always do an outline before every single paper. And those were provided for you with the Crucible research paper. And I have a feeling that many of you did not use those because your paper sort of seemed like not persuasive, more like a formal book report instead of a formal persuasive essay. So you really want to be careful with that and structure your paper logically. Use an outline, whether you print one from online or use theirs and write it out yourself. Write your thesis statement, write your main point topic sentences, make sure they relate back to your thesis statement. Also in those outlines, pick out the quotes and write them down or type them where you're going to use them, and write down the page number or the act, scene, and line number where you find them if it's a play. Make sure you have that evidence there so that you know I'm on the right track. Yes, this is persuasive. It's highly organized. All my quotes clearly relate back to this main point, so therefore this main point helps to point my thesis to be true. And then also make sure you do that with main point number 2. Are these quotes good, or are they just sort of simple blah facts, not really important? They don't really prove anything. And also, are they good? Are they something you can analyze? If they're quotes that you can't analyze, chances are you're not going to care about them, and then I'm not going to care about them. So you have to find quotes that really relate back to your main point topic sentence, that I think are interesting, so that I will think they're interesting. And let's face it, everyone, if you think your papers are boring, if you're bored writing your papers, I'm going to be bored reading them, and that's going to get you in the C range. A well-written, boring paper, a book report. So please make sure this is a persuasive essay that is logically structured, that has really good quotes, that have pathos in them, that have logos in them. And if you're citing someone saying something illogical, like logical fallacies in these trials where they're doing these ad hominem attacks to the person, and they're attacking the person, their character instead of their actions, that in a trial, that is lack of evidence, and that is not evidence. And that is what happened during the McCarthy era too. And that's why, Miller saw these connections between both. Also, I wanted to show you really quickly before I run out of time. I'm going to post this here. Obviously, you found it, but these are also additional helpful links, some worksheets. There's even a sample test with sample quotes and answers that identify ethos, pathos, and logos in the rationalism unit and in the declaration. So that's a great site too. But please check out all of these. And this declaration is a wonderful thing. I used to make my students do this too. We'd color code ethos, pathos, and logos in the declaration. And I do want to say something else. Sometimes you'll see a combination of 1, 2, or all 3 of these together, and sometimes you'll see them separately. And you'll see in this test what I'm talking about, this sample test. Anyway, I hope this helped you, and please always make sure you watch my videos and for additional help. And as always, please email me if you have any questions, and I will see you later. Bye.